friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk about the fats and oils that I personally store and why I like to store these ones. Now, each person does have to make their own decisions based on their health needs, dietary restrictions, and so on, or what works best for them in different situations, or even their different climates, believe it or not. So let's get to it, and I'll tell you about what I'm storing and why. Okay, so starting off with these two, or four if you want to look at it that way, coconut oil and avocado oil are my top two oils that I store the most of because they're the best all-around oils for the different things I like to use them for. For example, the coconut oil and the avocado oil both go in my homemade skin cream, but when it comes to cooking and baking, I'm also most likely to turn to one of these two oils than any other type of fat. And the reason for that is, especially when it comes to storing or anything involving high heat, especially if you're talking the refined coconut oil, are two of the best kinds for any kind of high heat cooking. So if you're talking about frying or even infusing oils and you're wanting to infuse them in a very warm place, you want to choose an oil that can handle higher heats. Now, while I like olive oil and I will use it from time to time, I used to use it all the time until I learned more about it. And it is one that can easily go rancid at a high heat. And it's not one that I would recommend storing for long term if you live in a hotter climate, because unless you have a really great place to store it where it's going to keep cool enough that it won't go rancid on you. Because I made the mistake one time, one of the first oils I was trying to infuse, I decided, well, I might as well just stick it in the greenhouse. What a perfect place for infusing. And I was infusing olive oil. And it didn't take but a few days and it was rancid from being in the greenhouse. So you have to be very careful with olive oil. It's still a wonderful oil for making salad dressings, and I will buy it. And I like to get the Kirkland brand olive oil, and it's great now that they have the organic olive oil that they offer. I am still more likely to turn the avocado oil. Same applies for when I'm making mayonnaise, not the unrefined coconut oil, but the refined coconut oil and the avocado oil are the two I like to use for making mayonnaise because they have such a mild flavor, and the refined coconut oil is going to also help it set up a little bit better. So I now, when I make my mayonnaise, I use a 50-50 blend of avocado to coconut oil. And if you're interested in my most recent, I think in that one I'm using the blend of the two, mayonnaise making video, I'll go ahead and put it down below. But if I'm not in that video, I just keep in mind you can do the half and half. So now the reason I store the two different coconut oils is because they have different uses. So anything I don't want any coconut flavoring in, I'm going to use the refined coconut oil. It also makes a better soap as far as it's easier to work with because it sets up better when I'm making a coconut oil based soap. I've used the unrefined for making soap and it's good. I mean, it makes a great soap, but you have to blend it for a lot longer time, like 3 to 4 times as long as you do the refined. And I'm not sure why the difference is, but I do notice that even right out of the containers, the unrefined is a lot softer than the refined. And then the unrefined coconut oil I'm more apt to use in things that's going to have a sweeter flavor anyway, and I think it's going to blend well, such as my different sweet breads like the banana pineapple coconut bread or the pumpkin spice bread or apple spice bread. Then I'm going to use this as my fat in there because I think that really adds to that, as plus the health benefits of coconut oil. And when it comes to my skin cream, my lip balms, any skincare product, I always use the unrefined coconut oil because, again, it's easier to work with that. It adds a nice smell and just an overall great texture to the skin creams and to the lip balms. Now, the avocado oil, the reason I have two different ones here is just I use them equally the same. This one, I get them both at Costco, and here's the interesting thing about avocado oil. It, just like with olive oil, you have to be careful what brand you buy and where you buy it from because it can be cut with some other kind of cheaper oil. Now the ones, and thank you to Milkmaid for sending me that information, It just so happens that the 2 avocado oils I use the most are the ones that were on the clean list, the ones that you can trust. And both of these I get at Costco. The only difference is the Chosen Foods comes in a glass bottle, and it's just slightly more expensive because you can get twice as much in the Marianne's brand in the plastic bottle, but you're paying just a little bit less, but it's not that big of a difference. So it really depends on your packaging and what's preferable to you. Now I have a ton of avocado bottles. I use these for for bottling up my wines because they're dark. They're perfect for that. You just want to clean them out real well. But if you plan on using these like I do for storing my wine or storing your kombuchas and vinegars, then this is actually the better deal because you're getting this great dark container, and the fact that they're square means that they stack well next to each other. They store well, take up less room than your round bottles do. The next one, at least when it comes to food items that I stock up on quite a bit, is the organic palm shortening. Now this is the one I get from Tropical Traditions, which I think now the website is actually called Healthy Traditions. I'll put a link to this down below. And when I go back to buying more of it, I'm going to go back to buying it in the buckets like this. Not only are the buckets, recyclable, but it's better contained. I decided the last time I bought it to buy I think it's 33 pounds, but it comes in a plastic bag. And it doesn't come in a bucket, and so it's not ideal as far as storage goes. And before I was buying it just in the buckets like this. So this is what I'm going to do from now on. And plus these little 1-gallon buckets, just like with the coconut oil, we use them for so many things. I recommend, if you're going to do that, even though you get a better value buying the 33 pounds, the buckets I think is better in the long run for storage. But palm shortening, I've had it for years, have had no problems with it going rancid, and it's because Tropical Traditions is a trustworthy brand, especially the way that they obtain their palm shortening, then I recommend them for that, and also the fact that this is a really great replacement for Crisco. So those of you who are still using Crisco and you're trying to figure out how to get away from it, what's the best replacement for that? Because shortening is the best in pie crust. I mean, I've made pie crust with butter and other things. Nothing is as good as using some kind of shortening. And I have found that the organic palm shortening, though it's much healthier than Crisco, it does make that same kind of texture that you want in your biscuits and your pie crust. Even though it doesn't get used as much as these other oils, that's the main reason why I stock up on palm shortening, is for making pies and making biscuits, because that's what I use in there. Now I do know you can also do blends with coconut oil. I've tried using coconut oil in pie crusts and biscuits, and it's fine. It's just, it's not the same. It's not the same as using the palm shortening. Now, another fat that I have a lot stored up on is the organic cacao butter. The only reason it's called cacao and not cocoa, the difference in the wording is cacao means it's in its raw form still. So to say raw cacao butter is actually redundant. So cacao butter or raw cocoa butter is what this is. I have a lot of it stored up. It stores beautifully. No issues with it going rancid. But then again, we have a naturally cooler climate here, and where I store this is in a place you would think would stay a little bit warmer, but no issues there. And I have a lot. And this gets reserved for making my own homemade chocolates. I have a whole playlist on chocolates. They're all my own original recipes that you can check out. And using the organic cacao butter and cacao powder, that's why I stock up on that, so I have a way to make a healthy chocolate for us when we get in the mood for something like that. And then another oil I like to store up, and I don't store a ton of it, just like olive oil, but I always keep at least one big can of this on hand. It takes me years actually to go through a single can, but it stores beautifully. And this is the sesame oil. Have never had this go rancid on me. And this is something I use for flavoring whenever I'm making certain Asian dishes and I want that sesame flavor in there. That's what this gets used for. And then these fats here, even though you can use cacao butter in your skin creams, I use shea butter, and even though shea butter is said to be edible, I've never tried it, and it's something you better look into before you consider that, but that's not why I stock up on it. In fact, both of these are shea butter. This is the one I've been using for years. This is the one I'm trying out. I've been getting through Vitacost. I can get a better price on it, and it does have a nicer smell, but I just noticed today when I was pulling these out that this one's unrefined, where this one doesn't say it's unrefined, and that could be why it has, the color is white, and why it smells better than the other shea butter. So we'll see how it turns out in a skin cream. I'll give it a try and see what I think. And then castor oil, and again, this is something I keep on hand mostly for external uses for my skin. Like in the winter time, I have that video I did on winter skincare, how I mix it with a little bit of turpentine and put it on my skin, on my face in the evenings, and just about anything else. Of course, you can take it internally for several different reasons, but mostly I keep this oil on hand for external purposes. I put it in my homemade mascara. I add it to my hair growth oil. Whatever it is you want to use for externally, it's a great oil. And again, yes, you can take it internally. Now, a couple of oils I would recommend, depending on who you are and if you like the flavors, is like hemp seed oil is an excellent oil for health. And I don't remember what the smoke point is, what the stability is on that. It seems like it's somewhere in the middle range when it comes to cooking with. Even though I love hemp hearts, didn't care for the flavor of hemp seed oil, but I've used it to make soap. It does make a great soap, because when I realized I didn't like the flavor of it. Same thing with flaxseed oil, another great oil. Didn't like the flavor of it, too fishy. And flaxseed is one of those you have to be careful with, because it can go rancid very easily, even more so than your olive oil. So that's why I don't stock up on that, you know, because of those two reasons. But it does make an excellent soap as well. So that's what I did with those oils when I tried them and decided I didn't like the flavor, didn't really like cooking with them. Just turned them into soap, and they make a great soap for washing my face with. And then another one that's really popular that I've used, I've bought a big jug of it before, is Grape Seed Oil. That one can handle high heat. It's very comparable to your avocado oil. I just recommend, especially with Grape Seed Oil, that you find organic. And I haven't looked in a while, but the last time I went looking for organic grapeseed oil, it was super expensive. And I like to buy in bulk. And so I can get avocado oil for a better price, and it's non-GMO. It's not necessarily organic, but with avocados, that's not something you have to worry about as much as you do with grapes, and that's why I'm a little more picky about that. So again, it's a matter of choice. I know a lot of people love grapeseed oil, and I do recommend it. I just recommend, if you're able and you're able to afford it, to go with organic. Because grapes are one of those that are kind of on that dirty dozen list, like strawberries and bell peppers and so on. One of the fats I forgot to mention that I do store, it's right up there with the coconut oil and the avocado oil, and that is butter. And yes, you can can butter. I have yet to do it. I haven't needed to. But if it came down to it and I needed to make more freezer space, or our freezers died on us, I'm not worried about power options, because we have lots of different backup power options, our solar power and our different generators. But if our freezers die, then I would probably start canning up the butter. But I keep it all for now in the freezer. And I've bought both the Irish Kerrygold butter and the, which to me has the best all-around flavor. But I only get it at Costco when I do buy it, because Costco has the best price on the Kerrygold butter. But I've been buying the organic Kirkland butter because it is a better price. The flavor isn't quite as great. It's still good. It's just not as good as the Kerrygold. And so I do stock up on those. And then, of course, as you know, I stock up on the butter powder as well. So anyway, those are my top fat oil picks that I keep stored up. Now, feel free to share down below what are your favorites to share. I know some people really like to cook with duck fat and some various things. Share with us down below, so those who are curious. Oh, and also share with us how you store them. And what I'll do, thinking of that, I have a video on how I store fats and oils that I will link to down below. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.